What is going on, creatives?
Yeah.
If you've ever wanted to use Premiere Pro but were intimidated by the fact that it has a much higher learning curve than some of the other editing tools, well, over the past few years, Adobe has taken a lot of steps to lower the barrier to entry. And there are several tools that I use that have made my editing process so much easier, so much faster. And I think part of it is that maybe people are just not aware of all of the AI tools and all of the shortcuts and all of the enhancements that Adobe has made over the years that just really make this a tool that is no longer as intimidating as it once was. And probably the first thing is this. If I were to start a new project, and let's say I title this project, new project, let's just keep it simple.
Go ahead.
One of the first things you can do up here that I think is a great enhancement is we have the template, the project template. It used to be that you had to have a project, you would save it somewhere on your laptop and you would open it and make changes to it. Well, you no longer have to do that. You just have this project here and then you say create. And then what this does is that it brings in, let's bring in the new project here. It brings everything in, all the folders all set, the structure is all set. And you can see I put my sequence in here. And if you had set images, set audio, set clips, all of those things that just were pretty standard in every single project, you would put them in your template. You would create your folder structure, bring all of your assets in, and then go File, Save as a template. Now, I'm working with this project here, and I've already started my sequence. I brought in an old YouTube video, and what I'm going to do is show off the second thing that we can do here. Bring in my screen recording and then put this on the timeline. And I'm going to keep the existing, and it automatically does the transcription. Let me go ahead and mute this for right now. It will automatically does the transcription, and that's because if I go to Edit, Preference, and Transcription, I have it set to automatically transcribe the clips. So every time I put a clip on the timeline, I will get an automatic transcript, which we have here. Now, the thing with this auto transcript, this text-based editing, I first saw it in Descript and thought it was pretty amazing. And I kind of figured Premiere Pro would eventually bring it in, and they have. And this is one of the biggest time savers that you have. Because if you look here, you can see I have a filler. And I have that because if I do my hamburger menu, come to transcript view options, I have it to detect filler words. So all of those ahs, long pauses, we have all of those things here. And I have 1.02 seconds. So any pause over 1 second, essentially, let's make it even. Any pause over 1 second is going to show up. And so when we look through here, these three dots, it tells me this is a pause. This pause is 8 seconds. This is a 1.1 second pause, a 1.2 second pause. So it shows all of those. Here's the filler words, and filler words could be anything really. But if I do this filter, I can filter out the filler words.
Yeah.
So it highlights the filler words, and you can see I have 20 of them. And I can get rid of those right away. And so I can just say delete, and we're going to delete all, and we have extract and lift. Let's take a look at the difference here. If I say lift and then delete all, what you'll notice is that it deleted everything and it kept, we have these gaps. So it did the deletion, but but it puts a gap in. And the same thing if I come back and take the filter out the pauses. There are 40 pauses. I delete and then say lift, delete all. You can see I have a bunch of gaps in here. Undo that. Versus if I say the filler words, delete and extract, delete all. So it deleted everything, but we do not have any gaps. Same thing with the pauses. Come here, delete all 40 pauses. And what you can see here is that it essentially removes the section and then closes the gap. Now, we could close the gap manually by highlighting it, going to sequence, and then say close gap. We could do it that way after we were done. And here is another feature that has really changed the game for me, because I used to edit audio in Adobe Audition, but then Adobe came up with the Adobe Podcast Enhancer on the cloud. So I would export the audio, upload it to Adobe Podcaster, download it, and bring it back in. Well, I no longer have to do that. If I go over to Essential Sound and I say call it dialogue, and we're going to go balance tone, we have this enhanced speech. So if I select that and do the enhanced speech, and I may go ahead and bump it up to kind of 0.85 there. So I'm going to do the enhanced speech, and we're going to let that run. But what this does, it does the same thing as the Adobe Enhanced Podcaster or Podcast Enhance, but we brought it into Premiere. So I no longer have to export the WAV file and then bring it back in. Just made life that much easier, and it's far easier than going over to, let's say, the audio clip or Windows audio track mixer, and then coming up here and then trying to find all of the different settings that you want for, let's say, amplitude or frequency, noise reduction. We no longer have to do this in Premiere Pro. So another tool that I think is really helpful, let me bring in an audio clip here. So here's an audio clip. I'm going to drop this on the timeline. And again, we're going to go to the Essential Sound. We're going to select this. And this time we're going to tag it as music. So we tag it as music, and let's take a listen to it right now.
And you'll see that I'm into the stories. I'm using 11 Labs.
So you can see that the music is drowning out the voice, but all we have to do is come in and say it is background music. And now we tag it as background music.
ChatGPT to help write scripts and stories, and using Midjourney, and
it's still a little loud, but so we can go ahead and come over here, bring it down just a little bit, maybe go down to -10.
DALL-E 3 to create the images for those stories. So I like doing that, and I have quite a few of them.
And that's pretty much it. And I think one of the things that we're looking at here is that in 2 clicks, we have our music done. Now, the other issue is that this is much longer than the music. So if we come over to, let's come over to one of our tools here, showcases. Oh, it's over here. Okay. So where we have the ripple edit, I'm going to hold this down and go to remix. So with remix, I'm going to go to the edge of it here, and I'm just going to drag it out to the end. And it will do the remix and come in, and now you can see that the entire thing,
the subject of the video to morph into something different,
has been remixed.
That was my main stipulations. Okay, so with that said, OpenAI has just given us Sora.
And again, just when we talk about the time saved, where before we would have to manually edit this, This is just drag it across, touch up the audio and the sound and everything, and we're done. That is another key feature that really does a lot of good for getting quickly started with Premiere. The final thing that we can do is that we may want to take this video and put it in social media and have the vertical format. So one of the things we can do is that we can now go to the sequence, go up to the sequence, and then go to auto-reframe sequence. And now we can come in and we can say we want a 9/16 vertical, motion tracking on default, and we'll say don't nest the clips. Now we have a vertical sequence. And so now that's ready for social media with some tweaks along the way. But overall, what the point of these particular tools, and there's so many more. There's pin to clip, ripple sequence, a bunch of shortcuts, creating proxies, removing unused clips, all of those things, replacing images, all of the shortcuts that really made Premiere Pro easy to work with. But these particular things, I think, are what make getting started with Premiere Pro a much easier thing to do than it was in the past. The text-based editing, the audio enhance, the remix tool, the auto-reframe, those tools are what make Premiere Pro much easier. And I think if you've been holding out trying to learn Premiere Pro, I think you should revisit it and really get back into this, because I think there's so much more that it can do now than it could in the past. All right, so that's it. Enjoy. We'll talk with you guys again soon.